What happens when an icon from your childhood enters public domain? It means all bets are off and it's open season out there for creatives. Upon its initial announcement, the buzz around Winnie the Pooh being adapted into a horror film set the horror community on fire. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey follows Winnie the Pooh and Piglet as they have reverted back to their feral ways and are hungry. The bloodbath begins as they track down a now adult Christopher Robin and his fiancée as they venture back into the 100-acre woods. Before we jump on with Rhys, we want to remind you to subscribe to the channel. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the bell notification so you get up to date on all the latest Kings of Horror releases. And in the link in our description, check out our new Patreon. Lots of fun's happening over there. Exclusive content is going to be dropping here in the next few days. A little extra portion with Rhys, the director and writer of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, will be on there, where we ask him 5 rapid round questions. I think on Valentine's Day we'll be posting on the Patreon exclusive commentary track for My Bloody Valentine, and so much more. So tiers $1, $5, $10, and $25 gets you access to voting power, exclusive content, behind the scenes looks, and so much more. So again, check out our Patreon, the link is in the description. And now back to the video. And now we want to take a moment and speak with the man behind the madness. Please welcome Rhys Frake-Waterfield, the writer director of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. Rhys, we want to thank you so much for joining us today for a brief interview.
Oh, thanks so much, Patrick. And yeah, Winnie the Pooh. You nearly were there.
So when reimagining existing intellectual properties out there, especially those so closely associated with the House of Mouse and just childhood memories, the internet can quickly turn on someone, and shouts of "You ruined my childhood" can be heard throughout. What do you want to tell the audience out there about your vision of these original characters?
So yeah, you're right. There's been, since the film kind of went viral, there was 2 camps of people who love it and then people who absolutely hate it. And the people who are against me, they're really against me. I get messages daily. We've had like petitions getting made, death threats, like someone was saying they'll call the police on us, like crazy things. And yeah, the main thing I like tell all these people is you don't have to watch it. Like, it's like really simple. You've got this version of Winnie the Pooh, which you guys, that's what you love. We've made this alternative version of him, which is a really horrifying version. But I'm not gonna sit you down, strap open your eyes, and make you watch this film. Like, it's there for horror fans. It's there for people who want to see this interesting take on what was, like the 1926 cuddly version, and see it adapted into a brutal killer. So yeah, just basically, if it's not for you, you don't have to support it. But I know there's a lot of people who do really like it and they do want to support it, and I think it will do well. And if it does well, there'll be even more of this. So
you were able to go back and get a few extra days of reshoots. In terms of the final cut, what did those extra days of shooting allow you to have that you might not have had beforehand?
So when you produce a film on a low budget, there are a lot of constraints. You need to decide where to allocate your time and your resources. We put a lot of those into the death scenes. Now, what I really wanted to do was, when it started to go as viral as it has, was make sure there was a lot of action in the film, because ultimately that's what people really want to see. Like, when I'm going to see a horror movie, I want to see a lot of the villain. So for example, in Halloween Ends, that wasn't my favorite Halloween because there wasn't a lot of Michael Myers, and Michael Myers was getting beat up by like a geeky kid. That's not what I want to see. So for me, I was like, with the reshoots, I could do bigger things, and I had a bit more money to do more interesting scenes and have more of Winnie the Pooh integrated into it. So now when you watch it, when you get to about 30 minutes in the movie, it basically becomes relentless. It's just a Winnie the Pooh movie, chasing people, killing people, stabbing people with knives, Piglet biting people's faces. Like, it's just non-stop then. So there was like four key movies which really influenced this for me, and they're almost sequential when you watch it, which is purely by coincidence. But I loved the first Wrong Turn. Like, there's something really that I've always been really interested in that, and I know it's not the biggest budget horror movie out there, but like I loved it. So I drew a lot of inspiration from that. Then I love The Strangers as well. So The Strangers was another film I brought a lot of or I took a lot of inspiration from, particularly some of the death scenes. So there was the kind of iconic pool death scene I wanted to replicate, not like for like, but I just wanted a pool death because I thought it looked cool. But I wanted the camera going under the water a lot, so I introduced a lot of that into the movie. Then there was a lot of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre aspects in there, but overall the biggest influence across the whole thing would be Halloween. Like, he was, for me, when I was thinking of Winnie the Pooh, I was like, what direction do I take him? Do I keep him small and do I make him like Chucky, or do I make him this big kind of juggernauty, scary monster? And I thought, okay, that's the route I want to take him, and that route is the Michael Myers route. So there are some scenes which, yeah, they're very satire-y to the Halloween series, so particularly Halloween Kills. When you watch it, you'll see, you know, a couple of moments. Like, I remember in Halloween Kills there was like a mob which attacked Michael, and I thought, okay, I really like that, so I done like a version of that in the movie. And I also loved the house on fire with the fireman, so I was like, okay, I want that. I want something on fire in the background to make him look really menacing. And I can't remember which Halloween it was, but there's one where he was on top of a car, and he was holding onto the car while in the side, so I've got like something similar to that as well. So that was like my main inspiration from it, really.
Now, take me back to the production of Blood and Honey. Tell me, what was your most memorable story during the shooting, during the production of the film?
So I'd say like the bit I loved them, like I remember laughing so much behind the camera. So this film isn't deadly serious all the time. It's not like a grounded, elevated horror. It's intended to be fun and be entertaining, with just lots of like, you know, horror and death in there. So there was one thing I wanted to integrate with this was aspects which were in the 1926 version of the story, and one of that is Winnie the Pooh's love of honey. So I wanted to try and bring that into the story where I could. And there's one scene where he's like gorging on honey. So he's got this big pot and he's like eating it, and I was laughing so much behind the camera, so was everyone else. And then this one of the victims, she kind of wakes up out of a daze because she's been kind of knocked out, and then Pooh goes over to her and he thinks she wants his honey, so she's really angry at him for it, and she smacks him, oh no, he smacks her. So what I was doing was, as he made his walk round from the pot to the girl, I had this big batch of honey on me as well, and I was taking out like massive scoops of it, and as he walked around to like lean over her, I would slap it all over his face, so he had tons of honey dripping down. And I remember the whole crew were looking at me like, what are you doing? Because they saw I had this huge handfuls of honey. And then when he leant over the girl to like look down at her while she was like tied down, you could see all this honey coming off of his face and going all over her hair and in her eyes and bits, and she didn't expect it. So you'll see it on camera when you watch it. She starts like flinching and turning away because she didn't know I was going to do it. But afterwards she found it funny as well.
Now, back in November, it was announced that you were going to be directing Peter Pan, Neverland Nightmare, and a sequel to Blood and Honey that had already been greenlit. Is there anything that you can share with us regarding either one of those projects so far?
Yeah, so with those projects, I'm not fully committed to directing them just yet. So I'm going to be involved in producing them, and because I think I just want to make sure they're like of a certain level, and I want them to be really good. But my next project of what I'm directing is kind of still being figured out at this point, because I've got that route where it could be Blood and Honey 2. However, like I was saying, there are people who are like studios who are like showing interest, and they want to do a concept kind of similar. And if that happens and they go ahead with it, there's going to be significantly more kind of resources at my disposal with those, and that will really help the kind of quality of the film overall. And I have so many ideas which I think could be done so well, and they're in a similar sort of vein to this. They're, because that's what I want to build up a bit of a universe and a bit of a load of concepts like this, which are retellings from what you wouldn't expect to be a killer to become a killer, and not just Disney stuff, like I was saying before, like fairy tales and nursery rhymes. But yeah, I got a slate, and I'm hoping one of those go ahead. I'm meeting some people in LA, and if they go ahead, that will probably be my next route, and I'll be producing the other ones. But if not, then I'll probably be steering towards Blood and Honey too.
Rhys, we want to thank you so much for joining us today here on Kings of Horror, and we want to thank you for your time, answering some questions, and we want to remind you out there, the audience, to please check out Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, hitting theaters through Fathom Events February 15th, one night only, so check it out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so February the 15th, it's going to be showing in about 1,600 cinemas across all of America. So, you know, there's probably one nearby you if you're wanting to go and see it. But then it will also be having a smaller theatrical run, which will continue from the 16th to the 23rd. At the moment, that's about 400 cinemas. But depending on how well this does, and, you know, if it becomes successful, then that might expand.
And we want to thank you for checking out this interview with Rhys regarding Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. If you want to check out Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, it hits theaters through Fathom Events Wednesday, February 15th. So have yourself a nice little post-Valentine's Day fun. Before we head out, we want to also remind you to check out our Patreon. We just now posted our rapid round series of questions with Rhys. So if you want to know what his favorite horror movie is, what his favorite song to do a workout to, his favorite comfort food, make sure you subscribe to Patreon. Tiers as low as $1 a month, $5 a month, and higher gets you access to exclusive content like the rapid round questions with Rhys. I'm Patrick, and we'll see you next time.